You bent to pick something up from the garden this morning, and when you stood back up, you had to pause at the porch rail for a few breaths, not from pain, just from breath. You told yourself it was the heat or the stairs or simply the years, but the feeling stayed with you through the rest of the afternoon. That moment, quiet as it was, deserves a closer look. If you want to understand why shortness of breath after 60 can sometimes point to something far more serious than fitness or age, the answer is not at the pharmacy shelf, and it is not in your step count. There is a set of signs the body pairs with breathlessness that the old healers watched for across generations, and knowing those pairings changes everything about when to wait and when to act. I am Papa Campbell. Come sit with me a while. What we are about to cover could matter greatly for you and for everyone who counts on you being present and strong. There is a grandchild who still reaches for your hand on the walk home from school, and that Friday morning ritual only continues as long as you are there, well and able. Your doctor, working through a packed afternoon schedule, is checking what the guidelines require, and breathlessness in older folks rarely receives the deeper look it deserves in a 15-minute window, unless you come with the full picture. Today, I want to give you that picture. Your body has been sending signals. Let us talk about what they mean. My name is Ezekiel Campbell, though most of my people have called me Papa since I was barely 40 years old. For over 55 years, I have served this community through the bush medicine tradition of the Blue Mountains of Jamaica, a tradition my grandfather carried from his own teacher in the hills above Kingston and his grandfather before him. Our lineage watches the whole person, the root of the problem, alongside the surface signs. My grandfather said it every morning of his working life. Every weakness in this body, from the chest to the knees, starts when the belly falls out of balance. He watched this truth hold across decades of serving the people of those hills. The gut, he taught me, sits at the center of the body's capacity to fight inflammation, to rest deeply, to move clean blood, and to breathe fully as the Creator intended. I have watched this hold true across every person who has come to sit with me. I am glad you are here today, across 5 generations of my family practicing this tradition. In the hills above Kingston, we kept records the old way, in memory and in conversation, passed between teachers and students. The healers of my lineage watched men and women of those communities live into their 80s and 90s, and they noted carefully who struggled with the chest and who did not. The pattern held with great consistency. Those carrying long-standing gut trouble were the ones whose chest eventually spoke loudest. In recent years, researchers from North American and European universities have come asking questions about Caribbean longevity, trying to understand what the old traditions preserved. The laboratories are finally catching up to what we have watched for generations. The answer was always in the kitchen and in the garden. The gut is where it begins. It has always been where it begins. Now, the 7 warning signs I am sharing with you today. One of them is going to surprise you completely. 9 out of 10 folks who come to me have been misreading this particular sign for months or years, thinking it belongs to something ordinary when the body is asking a different question entirely. The order matters here. Each sign builds on the ones before it. Please stay through to the end, because the number 1 warning, the one we save for last, is the one that demands the most immediate attention and the one least likely to come up in a routine appointment. Before we begin, I have a request. Drop a comment below and tell me how old you are, and whether you or someone close to you has noticed breathlessness getting worse over the past year or 2. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers shape the conversations I prepare next. You are not alone in what you are noticing. Hearing from you matters. In this video, I am going to show you the sleeping position that tells more about the heart than most people realize. The nighttime signal most folks dismiss as nothing more than restless sleep. The lower body connection the old healers always treated as one message from the same source. The quiet companion cough that follows breathlessness like a shadow. The rhythm in the chest that often goes unreported for years. The morning cloudiness that arrives alongside the shortened breath. And the master warning, the one that ties every sign on this list together, and the one the body speaks most urgently when the time for waiting has already passed. One small favor before we go further. Many folks who come back to this channel week after week tell me they forgot to subscribe the first time they visited. It takes about 2 seconds and costs nothing. When you subscribe, these teachings reach more seniors who need them. And that is the only reason I ask. Thank you, my people. Number 7. Shortness of breath that gets worse when you lie down flat. Many folks notice this at bedtime. The body feels manageable walking around the house, but the moment they lie flat, a heaviness arrives in the chest that was not there a minute before. The medical name for this is orthopnea, and here is what is happening beneath that. Fluid that gravity has been holding in the legs all day begins to redistribute upward when the body goes horizontal. A heart working under strain lets that fluid press toward the lungs, and the lungs respond with shallow, labored breath. Think of a cloth already soaked through. Adding more water to that cloth simply overflows it. After 60, the heart muscle tends to stiffen gradually. The chambers do not relax as easily between beats, which reduces the heart's ability to manage fluid shifts when positions change. The old healers of my tradition watched this pattern across many years of serving their communities. They said that anyone reaching for 2 or 3 pillows just to breathe comfortably through the night was carrying something in the chest that needed gentle and careful attention. Tonight, notice whether lying completely flat makes your breathing feel heavier than sitting upright. If it does, try sleeping elevated on 2 pillows and observe whether relief follows. Also reduce salty foods after midday. Salt holds water, and extra water is the last thing a strained heart needs to manage through the night. Number 6 will take this nighttime signal one step further. Number 6. Shortness of breath that wakes you from deep sleep. The clinical name is paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea. A person falls asleep normally, then wakes suddenly, an hour or 2 later, gasping, heart pounding, needing to sit upright or reach an open window for air. The same fluid distribution from number 7 is at work, but the body has now had time to let it accumulate against the lungs until the system triggers a full alarm response. It is frightening, and it is also important. After 70, the deep stages of sleep grow shorter and lighter, so this kind of waking often gets blamed on restlessness or anxiety rather than the heart. The healers my grandfather trained alongside knew this nighttime waking as the body calling for help in the dark, and they treated it with full seriousness. A neighbor of mine, Dorothy, 71 years old, a retired school teacher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, came to see me after 3 months of waking, between 2 and 3 in the morning. What had been overlooked was the clear connection between her late evening meals and the fluid she was carrying into the night. When she adjusted her eating schedule, reduced sodium after midday, and elevated her upper body during sleep, her nighttime breathlessness reduced by roughly 60% within 6 weeks. She told me, "Papa, I finally sleep through until morning. If this waking is happening more than once a week, please mention it to your doctor." And watch for number 5, where the signal moves down from the chest to the lower body. Number 5. Shortness of breath that arrives alongside swollen ankles or feet. The old healers of my tradition treated this pairing as one message from a single source. When the heart does not move blood forward with full efficiency, that blood backs up, and the legs and feet become the settling ground for what the heart could not clear. Socks leave deep marks in the afternoon. Ankles are thicker by evening than they were in the morning. And on those same days, one flight of stairs brings you to the wall, reaching for air. After 60, the veins lose some of their elasticity, and the heart carries less reserve. Swelling and breathlessness tend to worsen in parallel, and both tend to worsen faster than either would alone. The Creator builds this body as one connected system, and it speaks as one. Pay close attention to whether your swelling and your breathlessness follow the same pattern through the day. Track both and bring both to your doctor as part of one conversation. They are usually telling the same story. Number 4 is one of the most misread signs on this list. Number 4, shortness of breath that comes with a persistent dry cough. Most folks in their 70s have carried a dry cough long enough to give it a familiar name. Allergies, dry air, the dust in the house. But when that cough travels alongside shortness of breath, the body may be managing fluid that has settled at the edges of the lungs. This is sometimes called cardiac cough, and the mechanism is fluid pressing on bronchial tissue from behind, triggering the cough reflex. Think of water working its way through the wrong side of a wall. After 65, both the heart and the lungs carry less reserve. A cough that worsens when lying down and comes with breathlessness during exertion points towards circulation as the conversation to bring to your doctor. A neighbor of mine, Harold, 74 years old, a retired shipyard foreman from Savannah, Georgia, had carried a dry cough for nearly 2 years. What had been overlooked was that the cough always worsened at night and always came alongside breathlessness on exertion. As the underlying fluid management improved through dietary adjustments and specific plant supports, his cough reduced by nearly 50% over 10 weeks. He told me, "Papa, I thought that cough was going to be part of my life from now on." Pair this awareness with deep belly breathing each morning before food or drink. That brief daily practice supports the drainage the lungs need and keeps you attentive to how your body is shifting. Now, before we continue to number 3, I want to share something with you that sits beneath everything we have been discussing today. After 60, the gut loses a significant portion of its beneficial bacteria, with some estimates placing that loss between 30 and 40% compared to younger adults. When this happens, probiotics alone cannot complete the work, because without prebiotic fiber to feed them, and without postbiotics, the healing compounds the bacteria themselves produce, they have nothing to build on. Think of a garden. Seeds alone do not grow without soil and water working together. All three must be present at once. This matters for circulation, for inflammation, for the chest, and for the breathing. Every system we have discussed today is shaped by whether that garden inside is whole or depleted. Number 3, shortness of breath that comes with fluttering or racing in the chest. The word most folks use is palpitations, that sensation of the heart skipping, racing, or thumping in an unusual rhythm. When palpitations arrive alongside breathlessness, both the rhythm and the efficiency of the heart are under strain at the same moment. The most common rhythm concern in adults over 60 is atrial fibrillation, a pattern in which the upper chambers beat irregularly, reducing the heart's ability to fill completely before each beat. The old traditions of the island always treated palpitations and breathlessness together as signals from the same source, never as two separate concerns. Researchers studying Caribbean elders have more recently found that irregular rhythm and breathlessness together appear significantly more often in those carrying chronic gut inflammation. The old ways observed this connection long before the researchers arrived with their instruments. If you notice this pairing, please bring it to your doctor at the next opportunity. Begin noting when it happens and for how long. That record will carry real weight in that conversation. I want to pause here for a moment. Many of my folks ask me what I personally use to tend the foundation beneath all of this. Every system we have discussed today sits on a body that is either carrying chronic inflammation or managing it well. And in bodies over 60, that inflammation almost always begins in the gut. What I have landed on is BoochBod, a kombucha gummy that brings all three pieces together: prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, with lactospore and postbiotics LM1004 as the clinically studied strains. In the Blue Mountains, my grandfather used dandelion root for this kind of gut work long before anyone put it in a bottle, and BoochBod carries it in the formula. Over 30,000 people use it daily. A gummy, not a pill, which matters for those of us already managing enough capsules. The link is in the description below. And always speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. Now, number two, shortness of breath that comes with lightheadedness or a foggy feeling in the mind. This pairing carries a specific meaning. When the heart does not circulate blood with full efficiency, the brain is often the first to reflect that shortage. Lightheadedness while climbing stairs, standing up from a chair, or walking to the far end of the yard often means the brain is receiving less oxygen than it needs in that moment. Reduced cardiac output under exertion sends less oxygenated blood to the brain's working tissue, and the brain makes that shortage known. In the old traditions of the island, breathlessness and cloudiness of mind arriving together were treated with the same seriousness as physical pain. After 65, the brain becomes more sensitive to brief drops in oxygen. What might pass quietly in a younger body announces itself plainly in an older one. A neighbor of mine, Ruth, 67 years old, a retired librarian from Flagstaff, Arizona, described a fog that settled over her most mornings. What had been overlooked was that the fog always arrived after exertion and always came with shortened breath. As her circulation improved through daily practices and dietary support, her mental clarity improved by roughly 40% over 2 months. She told me, "Papa, my mornings feel like mine again. If you experience this pairing, please do not wait for it to resolve on its own. This is a conversation for your doctor, and it is one worth having soon." And now we arrive at the most important warning sign on this list. Number 1, shortness of breath that comes with pressure, heaviness or tightness in the chest. I am describing a heaviness, a sense of weight settling onto the breastbone, a tightness like a gentle firm hand pressing from the outside. Sometimes it travels into the left shoulder, the jaw, or down the arm. Sometimes it simply sits in the chest alongside the breath that will not come fully. This sign changes the entire conversation. The mechanism here is the heart muscle itself asking for more than its supply can deliver. When the arteries supplying the heart with blood carry narrowing from years of accumulated stress, every demand for additional oxygen, climbing stairs, carrying groceries, walking briskly through a parking lot, forces the heart to ask for more blood than those narrowed passages can provide. The heart responds with pressure, the lungs respond with shortened breath. Both arrive together because both come from the same shortage, and both are speaking the same language. Here is the aging-specific reality. After 60, the arteries have often been collecting deposits for decades without causing discomfort at rest. The narrowing may only announce itself when the body reaches for more than the baseline requires. This is why a person can walk comfortably on flat ground and struggle after a single flight of stairs. The demand crossed the supply, and the body told you plainly. My grandfather used to say that the chest is the body's loudest drum. When it speaks with pressure and breathlessness at the same time, the telephone comes before any home remedy. Please make that call. A neighbor of mine, George, 78 years old, a retired carpenter from Chattanooga, Tennessee, had been carrying what he called a heavy feeling across the middle of his chest each morning when he carried his tools to the truck. What had been overlooked for nearly a year was that the heaviness and the breathlessness always arrived together and always came on at the same level of effort. When he finally visited a cardiologist, significant narrowing was found in one of his main arteries. The intervention and the lifestyle support that followed helped his measured exertion capacity improve by roughly 55% over 3 months of recovery. He told me, "Papa, I thought I was just getting old. I did not know the body was asking me to listen." The tradition my grandfather carried and the research that has since confirmed what that tradition observed both point to the same place. The body that tends its gut terrain, manages its inflammation, and watches the paired signals carries far more resilience when the time to respond arrives. The practical step here is this. If you have breathlessness that comes with any chest pressure or heaviness during activity, even mild activity, please make that call today. Do not wait for the weekend to pass. And if that pressure arrives at rest or wakes you from sleep with pain traveling into the arm or jaw, that is an emergency. Call for help immediately. After 55 years of watching what actually holds and what does not, here are the principles I share with every person who comes to me about the chest. Tip 1. Begin your morning with breath before anything else. Before food, before the telephone, before even water. Stand at an open window and take 10 slow belly breaths. This practice starts the lymph moving and signals the nervous system that the day begins in calm rather than urgency. Tip 2. Evening sodium matters more than morning sodium. The kidneys handle salt less efficiently after 60, and what you eat after 4 in the afternoon stays in the body longer overnight. What you carry into sleep is what presses against the lungs by 2 in the morning. Tip 3. Track the pairings, not the single symptom. Breathlessness alone tells one story. Breathlessness alongside swelling, palpitations, or chest pressure tells a different and more urgent one. Your doctor needs the full picture, and you are the one who can assemble it. Mistake 1. Assuming breathlessness is simply deconditioning. Many folks stop walking because they feel short of breath, believing they are out of shape. This removes the very activity that helps the heart adapt and build reserve. If breathlessness worsens alongside any of the paired signs from this list, the walk itself is not the concern. Mistake 2. Reporting symptoms separately to different doctors. One doctor hears about the cough, another hears about the swelling. Neither receives the full picture. Bring all of the signs together in one conversation with one doctor who can see the pattern clearly. Mistake 3. Waiting for the symptoms to become dramatic before acting. The chest does not always announce itself loudly the first time. Many of the 7 signs on this list are quiet and gradual. Quiet does not mean unimportant. It means the body is being patient with you. Return that patience with steady attention. My people, let me close with something my grandfather said often, and I find myself returning to it more as the years pass. What you are protecting here goes far beyond a chart number. It is the moment you open the kitchen window before sunrise and the garden smell comes through on the morning air. That particular quiet that belongs only to you. It is the weight of a grandchild's hand in yours on the walk home from school. The fact that small hand still reaches for yours without being asked. Those are what all of this careful tending is for. It is never too late. The body at 70, at 75, at 80 still responds to what you give it, still heals, still adapts to the care you bring. Tending is not about perfection. It is about showing up daily with what you know. You know more now than you did when you pressed play on this video. Use that knowledge. Let me lock this in for you before we close. Number 7. Breathlessness that worsens when lying flat points to fluid shifting toward the lungs when gravity is removed. Number 6. Waking from sleep gasping tells you that fluid has had time to accumulate through the night. Number 5. Breathlessness paired with swollen ankles or feet signals the heart is not clearing fluid from the lower body efficiently. Number 4. A persistent dry cough alongside breathlessness may reflect fluid pressing on the bronchial tissue from behind. Number 3. Breathlessness with fluttering or racing in the chest suggests both heart rhythm and efficiency are under strain at the same time. Number 2. Breathlessness with lightheadedness or mental fog means the brain is reflecting reduced oxygen delivery. Number 1. Breathlessness with chest pressure or heaviness during activity is the body's most urgent signal. Do not delay that conversation. If this reached you today, please subscribe so these conversations keep finding you each week. Share this one with a spouse, a sibling, or the oldest friend you have. They may need to hear it more than they realize. Leave me a comment below and tell me which of these 7 warning signs surprised you most, or which one you are going to watch more closely starting today. I read every single comment on this channel, and your words help me know where to go next for this community. And if you would like to take a look at BoochBod, the kombucha gummy I mentioned earlier in the video, The link is waiting in the description below whenever you are ready. To all my people who stayed through to the end of this one, thank you for trusting me with your health and your time. The Creator made this body to last, and you are doing the right work. I will see you in the next one.